Have you heard researchers say they are using the critical realist paradigm and wondered what does that actually mean? In this video, I will explain the basic tenets of critical realism. Let's start with an opening scenario. Consider a busy staff room in a local secondary school where two teachers are discussing the influence of a new technology on teaching and learning. To the first teacher, this shift feels like an exciting expansion of creative teaching where they can use new ways to engage their students. To the second teacher, this change feels like something that is just going to give them more work to do and make their students even less engaged in learning. While another paradigm, such as constructivism, would say that these teachers are experiencing different realities, the critical realist researcher would argue that they are experiencing different facets of the same underlying mechanism. While their individual interpretations may be socially or historically situated, the technology and the institutional structures driving this transition in the classroom have objective causal powers that exist independently of human perception. As such, the critical realist researcher would be interested in investigating the underlying and unobserved mechanisms that produce these different experiences of the same reality. So let's start by looking at the ontology, epistemology, and axiology of critical realism. As I've explained in other videos, ontology refers to understanding what reality is. Epistemology refers to how we can know this reality, and axiology refers to the role of values in the research. First, critical realists have what is called a stratified ontology. They believe that there is an objective reality, but say that it is layered, with some layers visible while others are hidden. They conceptualize these layers into three domains: the empirical domain that we can see or experience, the actual domain that describes events that occur regardless of whether someone can see them, and the real domain that describes the underlying mechanisms that generate the events in the other layers. They term these mechanisms generative mechanisms. So if we think back to our earlier scenario, the empirical domain would be the distinct perspectives of the two teachers. The actual domain would be the way the school is deploying the technology in that specific space. And the real domain would be things like the way the technology works, the government mandates for the use of technology-based teaching, and maybe socio-economic or cultural influences. Second, the key thing to remember about critical realism is that it has an objective ontology which is combined with a subjective epistemology. While critical realists believe in an objective reality, they pair this with what is called an explanatory relativist epistemology because they believe that reality is fallible, socially situated, and imperfect, since reality is interpreted by people. Critical realists, therefore, would not be merely interested in understanding the observable outcomes. They'd want to understand the underlying structures or mechanisms that produce these outcomes. They want to explain the process through which these outcomes occur. Third, critical realists have a value-laden axiology. They recognize that research is inherently value-laden and believe that researchers must remain reflexive about how their assumptions, perspectives, and positionality shape the research process. Finally, remember that the ontology, epistemology, and axiology of critical realism don't operate separately. They are interdependent concepts that mutually reinforce one another. A critical realist's ontological understandings about a layered reality give rise to their epistemological approach of explanatory relativism, while their axiological values ensure that researchers do not over-rely on their own perspectives when trying to understand generative mechanisms. Would this paradigm work for your study? Let me know in the comments, and remember to subscribe for more research videos.